I feel the best when I have like those step 5 moments where things that come to me that would normally bother me so much don't bother me, and I can handle it so well.
So do you know what you're talking about there? You know what she's talking about? Step 1 is contrast helps you to launch rockets. Step 2 is source sees your rocket, understands it, and becomes the attraction point of it. Step 3 is you find a way to quiet your mind so you're not doing that thing that doesn't let you in on it, and you let yourself in on it. So you feel good, first of all, and then you begin witnessing the results of your alignment. Step 4 is you're just really good at step 3. That sounds funny, but step 4 is really the mastery of step 3. Step 5 is you're so practiced at segment intending, you're so practiced at meditation, you're so practiced at calibrating your own alignment that when something unwanted comes into your awareness, as you knew it would when you decided to come into this physical body, it doesn't throw you off kilter. It doesn't put you out of balance. It doesn't shake you up in any way. Instead, you know, oh, here's a little piece of contrast that is helping me to identify with greater clarity what I want. It's contrast that I don't think I would have chosen, but the fact that it's here is all right because it's giving me information, because there's no ending to creation, no ending to it. There's always going to be more to choose from and more contrast to consider. And so when you know that, so you don't freak out over the contrast, then you take pleasure in the contrast in the same way that you take pleasure in a buffet that includes things that you're not planning to eat. You don't freak out and insist that they take all that stuff away that you don't eat. You just choose around it because you're good at this. You're not out of control. You have control of your vibration and you know it, and it feels good to you.
Mm-hmm. So I guess my question is, you know, even with meditation, when there's things that happen that are just out of your control, and, you know, big things, deaths or, you know, things that might happen to children, it's difficult to stay in that, you know, alignment. What would you recommend aside from meditation?
Well, we would recommend that you stop saying that it's difficult. We'd recommend that you do a different segment intending. What you basically just did was to take your notebook and you just said, I feel sadness over many things I see. And if you're really segment intending, if you're really wanting to merge yourself with your inner being, which is the ultimate step 5 moment, then your sentiment would be something like, there are unwanted things amidst many wanted things. And I love focusing on the wanted things no matter what. There are so many more things wanted than unwanted in every moment in time for everyone. I love the sensation, you already said that, of being in such sync with my inner being that I'm seeing the world through the eyes of Source. The only thing that produces and perpetuates satisfaction is knowing what you want and moving toward it. And knowing what you don't want and moving toward that produces the opposite. So there's satisfaction and dissatisfaction potential in every moment of focus. And so you said something just now that a lot of people say. Many people believe it because they say it over and over and over again, so they really believe it. We don't do that. We don't believe that. We don't say that over and over. And what you said is, there is so much that I can't control. What we would say instead of that is, I am not here to control anything that anyone is doing. I'm here to control my response to whatever comes into my experience. The only thing I am here to control is my vibrational relationship with my inner being. Because when I get in control of that, that means that every single moment in time, I'm so practiced at syncing up with that I have access to the thought that my inner being thinks about that. So you're aware that a child has died, and your inner being is aware that that child is eternal, and you're aware that that child is no longer in its physical body, and your inner being is aware that there's no separation between non-physical and physical, and that the communications and the relationships can continue on if they're wanted. or you see someone suffering and you think, oh, it's a terrible situation that's causing that person to suffer, and your inner being is thinking, this person is merely temporarily depriving themselves of the pleasure of alignment, and that could change as quickly as they take the stick out of the wheel. When you give yourself the knowledge-based ability to hook up with your inner being and what your inner being knows about every situation, then, and really only then, are you the person in this body, in this time and space, in the way that you intended as you came. Not one of you said, I'm coming, but I'm not going to use my guidance system, and I'm not going to hook up with my greater knowing. So I'm going to follow the herds, and I'm going to disconnect myself from my true nature of who I am. So I'm going to feel insecure instead of secure, and I'm going to live in poverty instead of in abundance, and I'm going to live in hatred and meanness instead of love. Not one of you said that. And yet what you do perpetuate as a mass consciousness is sometimes those things happen and I just can't help it. And we proclaim that is not true. You can help it. Situations do not have to control your emotions. Your emotions can control your relationship with situations, you see. But you got to get the horse before the cart. As you begin this process of segment intending, have we hooked you on it a little bit? As you begin this process of segment intending, what you're going to notice is, in a very short period of time, as you said, just by the way it shows up in your life experience, you're not going to be willing to let go of this powerful tool. You're not going to be willing to let it be a crapshoot or potluck. You're not just going to blunder into your days and whatever happens, happens, and then you lick your wounds and go home and hope for something better tomorrow. Instead, you're going to get so good at getting out ahead of it, and you're going to revel in how quickly things happen that are of benefit to you. Esther, before she came down, she's coming through the back way, and she took a trial run last night, and it's always a little confusing because there's lots of hallways and it's weird back there. An elevator to one floor, and then a little walking, and then to another floor, and so on. And so she sat right before she walked out the door, and in her notebook she wrote, now it seems silly to write a segment about something that's going to only last 5 minutes, but Esther wrote, I really like being in the hallways of these hotels and acknowledging all of these lovely people that make these places work. I adore the feeling of appreciation that I feel as I witness so much going on that most people don't get to see. I love the feeling of we're all in this together, and I so appreciate these people behind the scenes. And I am anticipating a really fun interaction as I moved to the hotel room. And so first thing that happened was she couldn't remember what floor she was supposed to get off on. But when she got to the elevator, a nice man said to her, who works behind the scenes, this is the service elevator. And Esther said, I know. They told me I could use it, but I've forgotten where I'm supposed to go. So he got on and showed her. It was so nice. And Esther knows she just rendezvoused with the information that she needed. And then she met him every segment of refreshment. Every time she went back, there he was to show her where the bathroom was. And, oh, wait a minute, you're going the wrong way. He was like he'd been assigned by the universe to watch out for her. And Esther knows that. She's not missing that. She doesn't think that this is a coincidence or a lucky thing. She knows for sure that she vibrationally aligned with him as she got out ahead of it with the words that she wrote. They have a heart connection that goes far beyond what either one of them would deserve to have from each other in this brief little interaction that they're having in time. In other words, this is a big deal, this relationship that she has with this sweet young man who is behind the scenes, who for some reason just feels like going over there every time Esther needs him over there. That's co-creation at its best. And there is a whole world of cooperative components all over the place, standing ready and willing and capable of rendezvousing with you, yes, to satisfy your question in the moment, but next to amplify your understanding that things are always working out for you. the fact that you took the time to identify how you want to feel, and not only that you wanted to feel it, but you focused and found the words until you did feel it. You contoured your point of attraction on purpose. And now the world around you is going to show you in manifestation after manifestation exactly what you conjured on your page. It doesn't take very much of that before you know you've got control of your vibration. Therefore, you've got control of your point of attraction. Therefore, you are the deliberate creator of your own reality, you see. And can you imagine how your inner being feels when you start receiving the messages that your inner being is offering constantly? What a dance we all do together, you see. But as humans, sometimes you think, but I'm here for the mark on the chart, and aren't I here to prove my own worthiness, and should I really be looking to the non-physical to help me out? And we say, of course you should. We're all in this together. You are an extension of that which we are. You are not sent here to prove worthiness or to find your way, to go get lost and then prove your worthiness by finding your way out. Life is supposed to be good for you. It's supposed to feel good for you every step along the way. This segment and this segment and this segment and this segment and this segment. And when you accept that, every segment is supposed to feel good to you, that you're not just doing something so that when you get to work it'll be a little less crappy than it was yesterday. That's not what it's about. It's that this moment matters, and you have the ability to think about whatever it is that you're going to think about in a way that you do feel good now. And as you get hooked on feeling good now, you'll find yourself not even faced with people or with television programs or with things that would knock you off of that. You just don't rendezvous with them. And when you do touch up against them, you can feel right away, just like a hot stove. That's something that I can just go someplace else. And before you know it, you are the conscious, aware master of your own experience, where you realize that you just get to sift through all of this and identify what you want, and it comes to you with such ease. And then others who watch you say, how do you do that? And you say, well, it was hard at first, but then I got the hang of it. And they say, what's the hang of it? And you said, first thing I had to accept, my life is supposed to feel good to me. Not just occasionally, not just when I'm on vacation, not just on my 30th wedding anniversary. My life is supposed to feel good to me now. Because my inner being's life feels good now. In fact, my inner being feels so good that's why I feel bad when I go someplace other than where my inner being is. If your inner being were not powerful, only love, you would not know the discomfort of diverging from it. The very pain that you feel is evidence of the love that your inner being is. Does that make sense to you? We have enjoyed this day more than any that has ever come before. We feel appreciation for not just where you are. It was really satisfying to us to feel your vibration shifting as your understanding of what we're talking about settled in. But we have an eagerness that you're going to feel with us, as you said, manifestations over the next few days pinpoint and amplify the shift that has taken place here in you. So be playful about it. There's nothing serious going on. Nothing's broken. There's nothing big going on that won't be easy for you to just softly soothe yourself into a feeling place that will allow. And the last thing we want to say today to you is that the manifestations are delicious, and you want them because they are evidence of thoughts turning to things. You came into a time and space where that could happen, and it's a good thing that they do happen. And we want them to happen. We don't want you ever to think that we're trying to talk you out of manifestations. But what we want to also talk you into is the pleasure in the emotion before the manifestation happens. We want the words on the page to generate within you as much love and feeling of well-being as the manifestation will give you as it brings its proof of your worthiness. You see what we're getting at? We want you to accept the emotion that you are able to accomplish right now as evidence of, even call it a emotional manifestation. When you write something and it makes you feel a way, Isn't that a manifestation? So as you acknowledge it and savor it and stick around it and milk it and feel until you practice and calibrate to the feeling of it, and then more and more and more and more and more of that happens, people will see you as the light that you are. They'll notice you when you walk in a room. They'll wonder what you've got going on. They'll gravitate to the purity that is you. They will find love just being around you, even if you don't rendezvous with them.